Parakarry is a very reliable partner in battle. Despite being strictly outclassed by Sushi in this game, you only get her in Chapter 5, while Parakarry is in Chapter 2. But that's a story for a later video. Let's talk about Parakarry here and now. Just like most partners, without Aiju commands, Parakarry can only do 1 damage with his basic attack. However, his Shell Shot skill does have an Aiju command, despite the fact that we don't have Lucky Star yet. Which means for Parakarry, we don't even need 20 HP. In fact, we'd be able to get by with only 10. Not a bad start at all. Meanwhile, the Goomba King fight isn't really any problem whatsoever regardless. I mean, yeah, you can't Shell Shot the tree, not like you'd ever want to, but attacking the tree once and then just keep attacking the Goomba King until it goes down is all you really need to do to win. Not much else to say, not much brain power required though. At the end of the prologue is the fight with the Master Koopa. By the way, sprites behave very oddly when you talk to Twink and you don't have Goombario out. With that slog not behind us, let's begin Chapter 1. Now, because Parakarry can fly, he doesn't really have any issues targeting any kinds of enemies. So the only way to really be able to resist his attacks is by having enough defense. This is a big reason why one of my first challenge runs was to play through the entire game with only Parakarry as my partner. He does have more weaknesses, but they're not quite relevant yet. Just note for now though that most of the fights in Chapter 1 are no problem for him. He has no issues hitting the fuzzies at all. Bob is going to be one-shot by Shell Shot, and despite the fact that Skydive cannot flip over Koopa Troopas, it still does 1 damage upon a successful Action command. As long as Mario can survive, there's really no issues here. The same logic also rings true for the Bullet Bill Blasters before the Koopa Bros fight. Though since Bill Blasters have only 1 defense and 4 HP, Shell Shot can one-shot them as well. The way things are going is rather optimistic for Parakarry, but then we get to the first boss. Parakarry has no issues dealing damage to the Trojan Bowser, but the Koopa Bros are an entirely different beast. When the 4 of them are all stacked on top of each other, they cannot be knocked down by Parakarry all by himself. Now for situations like this, I want to see if a partner can at least get partial credit, because there are times where a partner can beat Trojan Bowser, but not the Koopa Bros all by themselves. This is why earlier in the run, I pick up a Thunderbolt, specifically so that Mario can topple the Koopa Bros in a single turn. However, that partner has to be quick. If the Koopa Bros are allowed to get back on top of their feet and back on top of each other, then they are no longer able to win. And this is where Parakarry meets his fatal flaw with a Skydive. When on their backs, Parakarry's Shell Shot can one-shot the Koopa Bros with a single hit. The key word here, however, is only when they're on their backs. When they're on their feet, however, their 5 HP and 1 defense makes it so that Shell Shot will only do 4 damage per hit. So for the first 2 turns when they're on their backs, Parakarry's Shell Shot can kill a maximum of 2 Koopa Bros before they get back on their feet. From there, however, the fight is lost. Not only can Shell Shot not one-shot, but Skydive can't flip enemies over. Because of this, the remaining 2 Koopa Bros are able to stack on top of each other, and no longer is Parakarry able to do any damage in this fight. Unfortunately, it is impossible for Parakarry to beat the entirety of Paper Mario 64 all by himself. But though the entirety is impossible, just how much of the game can he beat by himself? Let's find out. Though because Parakarry cannot close out the fight with Mario's help, he gets no credit for Trojan Bowser at all. Though at least he will get credit for the fight with Junior Troopa. He has only 1 defense, Parakarry has 2 attack power with his basic attack. Quite the no-brainer if I may say so. Now to ship ourselves to Chapter 2's Mount Rugged. There's quite a few fights to do here, and I'm glad to say they're all possible. Buzzar does have the HP to survive all of Parakarry's Shell Shots before he runs out of FP, but since by now we're able to super rank him, she'll only have like 10 HP left, so just do like 4 more Skydives and she's done. All around a very easy fight. Then we get into the ruins themselves, and Parakarry just excels here. There's no shortage of Pokemummies that are required to fight, but Shell Shot has no problem dealing with them all. This is because despite being a contact move, Parakarry is protected by his shell here, and so one by one all of the Pokies fell. The swoops are also no problem whatsoever. They hang on the ceiling, but Parakarry can fly. And heck, after a skydive, they stop hanging from the ceiling too, so there's really no question here. Parakarry can do this all by himself, no problem. Same story with the Stone Chomps. Despite their appearance, they only have 1 defense, so Skydive does plenty fine enough here. And if that fails, well, Parakarry can really lift, cause look at this. He can use airlift on the Stone Chomps and just carry them out of battle. Not sure if he's just really physically strong, or he's just a very strong flyer. With what I've seen in cartoons, I can't really tell anymore. And then there's Tauten Koopa. For Parakarry, quite possibly the easiest boss in the entire game. If you just keep using Shell Shot against him, you will beat him in 5 turns. There's really no sugarcoating it. Parakarry has no problem here at all. Disoriented by how fast that chapter went?
Don't relax. We're not done yet.
Chapter 3 has two very important fights to look at, Junior Troopa and Koopa Bros' Heart. Both of these are bosses that can do a lot of damage to Mario in very little time. It's fortunate then that we have access to live streams now in the mansion of the booze. And so after stuffing my inventory with live streams, it's time to beat down some bosses. First was Junior Troopa. The standard procedure here is just spam shell shot until you can do it no more, and then resort to skydive until he runs out of HP. Yes, live streams were exhausted, but even that really isn't a problem when you have as much money as I do. In-game really, not in real life. In real life I'm actually really poor. A casual thank you by the way to everybody that's liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and helping me get monetization for this channel as well. Extra money is really handy, you know? Moving on, we now have to fight Koopa Bros' Heart. It's honestly the exact same deal as it was with Junior Troopa. Just spam shell shot, and after that spam skydive. It was kind of the same process for Koopa Bros too. Though honestly, I have no idea why I would not just spam my FP earlier. 3 chapters down, and Parakarry's been doing pretty well so far. Though things do become a little bumpy in chapter 4. We'll worry about Anti-Guy later, but for now let's focus on some other fights. For starters, you're required to fight at least one blooper in this challenge. And fortunately for Parakarry, it only has 30 HP and shell shots a 5-hit KO. It's also just really weak by now, like we should be fighting Electro Blooper instead of fighting a standard blooper, but whatever. I like my shortcuts, I'm gonna do it right now. Now moving forward in the story, we have the Big Lantern Ghost. As you can tell, the entire arena is pitch black. We can hardly see anything except for the lantern. What you're supposed to do here is attack the lantern at least twice to make the room bright enough to see the Big Lantern Ghost so that you can attack him. Unfortunately, with how Big Lantern Ghost AI is designed, as soon as you hit that lantern twice, he'll blow it out, and you just won't be able to hit him anymore. It's unfortunate, but Parakarry is far from the only partner unable to do this fight. In fact, the only way a partner can win this fight all by themselves is if they can actually hit the lantern twice in a single attack. Fortunately for Parakarry though, this chapter ends favorably with General Guy. Earlier in this chapter we found the Fen Plus, and with that equipped, the Shy Squad is completely harmless to Mario. From there, I'm just able to take my time, and then we get to the Stilt guys, which Parakarry has no issues fighting. The Shy Stack does decent damage, but again, we have plenty of live streams, so I'm not really worried about taking damage. And after brute forcing your way to General Guy, well, it's a very good thing that we were able to rank up before now. General Guy's tank has 2 defense, while Parakarry's basic attack at super rank does 3 damage. So at least you're able to do damage after we run out of FP. Though that light bulb would be a really big problem, so I took it out as soon as possible as well. And after a deceptively long boss fight, we are able to get the 4th Star Spirit. Gotta say, so far, Parakarry really delivered on his prowess. And good thing too, because the very next fight is actually kind of awkward. You know Fuzzipede, right? Has only 20 HP, not very strong. Exists in a very dark cave, being that it's inside a whale. And get this, you can't even encounter Fuzzipede while it's dark, even if he jumps right on top of Mario's sprite. You need to have Watt out, and make the room brighter so that you can actually encounter Fuzzipede. Combine this with what we know about Big Lantern Ghost and being in a dark room, and yeah, it becomes very clear that Parakarry is not winning this. Who's that partner? Chapter 5, however, was pretty pleasant all things considered. Of course, the required encounters with both ambushes and future piranhas were no issue at all. As a matter of fact, for the former, I mostly just used airlift because I could. Then we head deep into Jade Jungle and we fight future piranhas and the White Magic Koopa. There's an easy way to do this and a hard way to do this. The hard way is to continuously use Shell Shot on the White Magic Koopa and keep doing so until it falls down. The easy way is simple though. Give that White Magic Koopa a ride and airlift him out of here. From there, all Parakarry has to do is take his time with the future piranhas and eventually he'll win. Not too much later, we meet Raphael the Raven and we get ourselves an Ultra Zone, which allows us to rank Parakarry at one last time. At Ultra rank, Parakarry learns the move Air Raid. It's an attack that hits all enemies on the screen and does 6 damage at max. Very solid, very solid. I also had business back in Toad Town, but once again, Junior Troopa wants to fight us for the 4th time. Yes, 4th, not 3rd. Remember, you do fight Junior Troopa in the prologue, just not with any partners active. Anyway, Airborne, Spike, doesn't really matter. Parakarry has Shell Shot, and Spikes have not stopped him before. In as few as a measly 4 turns, this is already over. Lava Piranha's not too far away now, but I want to fight Electro Blooper first. Having that shortcut to Chapter 5 is just really handy after all. And to be frank, this fight was mainly just spamming Shell Shot the entire time. Even whenever Electro Blooper electrifies himself, Shell Shot does protect Parakarry from being damaged. Not much else to really say. This fight was just very easy. And the same can honestly be said for Lava Piranha too. I could have used Air Raid here, but there's not really much of a point in doing that. At least, not in the beginning of the fight. I'm not really worried about the lava bugs doing their damage against Mario. During phase 2 though, where Lava Piranha's on fire, well, why the heck not? The alternative then is letting the Petit Piranhas kamikaze into Mario for a lot of damage, which is not really worth it in my opinion. As for the boss himself, well, once again, Shell Shot is great. Parakarry is protected by the fire thanks to his shell. Another one bites the dust. Up next to challenge us is Chapter 6. But up in front is the fight with Super Blooper. Yeah, it's not technically a Chapter 6 enemy, but all the same, it's either this or the Monty Moles. And the Monty Moles are not hard for any partner to beat, so bear with me. Super Blooper just came down to either using Air Raid or Shell Shot. Shell Shot costs much less FP, while Air Raid is good for the Blooper babies as well. Some good guarding here also helped quite a bit too. Of course, it wasn't just here that Air Raid would be useful. In fact, almost every fight in Chapter 6 had Air Raid be used a lot. Both fights involving Lakitus, i.e. the Hedge Mage as well as the Hufflepuff Machine Room, saw Air Raid be used twice to end the fight quickly. There is also Lackluster, who was a very easy fight in its own right, though the most I did here was just Shell Shot. And then there's Huff and Puff, which was actually rather interesting. I learned this from my Action Commandless challenge through the same game, but it seems like Parakarry's Shell Shot cannot miss Huff and Puff at all. Doesn't matter that much though, because in this challenge I actually can't aim it. But trust me, I tried to miss. I couldn't do it. Of course, this does spawn tough bugs upon contact, but Parakarry's Air Raid would come in clutch here, albeit in a different fashion this time around. Instead of using this move to do damage to Huff and Puff, I use this move to quickly wipe out any tough Huffs that spawn. This has the added benefit of reducing just how much Mario would have to mash when all of Huff and Puff's tough Huffs try to attack him. Overall, this fight was not very long, and admittedly, not very painful either. I mean, yeah, I did use a few life streams up, but not that many. And Parakarry had good control over the course of the fight too. All around, an excellent performance. That's Chapter 6 for you, but before Chapter 7, there are a few fights I want to look at. First is Anti-Guy, but Anti-Guy doesn't really matter right now. I mean, yeah, Parakarry can beat him, no problem. Well, is it a he or is that a she? I mean, she does speak with hearts in her text, and what does anti mean aside from the opposite? And what's the opposite of a guy? A gal, right? Well, no, the prefix anti means against, so is Anti-Guy trying to fight against the patriarchy? Guys, my brain hurts. Well, anyway, the dojo's no problem for Parakarry at all. But I want to focus on only one fight, and that's against Master 3. He has 99 HP and 1 defense, so by far he's the hardest fight here. That being said, with good guarding and you keep using Shell Shot, Parakarry has no issues at all with winning this. I mean, by the end of the fight, you won't have very many life streams left. But 17 turns is a long time, so you gotta expect you have to take a lot of damage to survive, right? And with good guarding, Mario can easily last over 20 turns. After a while, Master 3 will fall, and Parakarry soon enough will be finding his diploma in the mail issued to him. But guess what, Parakarry? You earned this. You gave yourself that diploma, and you should feel proud of yourself too. That being said, I am not proud of Kenshi Koopa. Both the character and what I have to say about Parakarry fighting him too. So the only attack that Parakarry has that can hurt Kenshi Koopa is Shell Shot. But get this, it does only 1 damage per hit. Even if you had maximum FP at 65, thanks to having 50 FP normally and 3 FP pluses, that's only 65 FP out of a maximum 70 HP that Kenshi has. And keep in mind, this is also accounting for the fact that you need both Flower Sabers equipped too. So you need all of that and Happy Flower, just 1 copy of Happy Flower at that, to have even the faintest chance of victory. Not a good look to be sure. Parakarry can win this, but by no means is it guaranteed. Because if your Happy Flower luck is too bad, then it's extremely likely that Kenshi Koopa will knock you out and lock all of your life streams out of you before you get a chance to finish him off. You can have credit, but no more than that. It's Yoshi! What do he and Parakarry have in common? At the very least, though, Parakarry doesn't seem to have any troubles in Chapter 7. After mailing the mayor's wife a corpse to fit into her casket, we're once again challenged by Junior Troopa in the frozen tundra. There's really no strategy here. We have plenty of defense already, so damage is not a problem for us. And all we're left doing is just spamming Shell Shot the entire time. It's, I'd say, what, 9 Shell Shots to win this fight, but ultimately nothing really special. And neither is Monstar. 20 HP and a flat 0 defense is not good this late in the game, even given that this is a joke boss. 3 shell shots later, let's move on to Chapter 7's Crystal Palace. Aside from the boss fight, the only interesting battles here are against Koopa Ghosts and the White Clubbas and Magic Koopas. Starting for the latter, the Magic Koopas are dispatched just by using airlift on them. Pretty much all of them are guaranteed if you match fast enough. Meanwhile, you're actually forced to fight Koopa Ghosts later on in Chapter 8, but because we can fight them now, let's just say them now to get them out of the way for later. Koopa Ghosts have only 15 HP. Even switching Parakarry in the turn afterwards because, well, I felt like betraying Kooper. All it takes are 3 air raids to finish this fight in record time, and this then brings us to the Crystal King himself. With my badges, using Shell Shot does a whopping 5 damage for only 1 FP. And so long as I knew who to actually target, that was my move of choice for the entire fight. Otherwise, when the illusions come into play, I rely on air raid. You can't really risk a miss if everyone gets targeted, even though it costs a lot more FP to do a little less damage. I had some difficulties. I am absolute garbage at guarding this blizzard, but with my bat setup, I had to let him have a chance to knock Mario out even just one time. This fight was still plenty easy enough for Parakarry, ending Chapter 7 and getting us our final Star Spirit. Let's not waste any time though, it's time for Chapter 8. A lot of really tough fights here, but how bad can they really be for Parakarry after all? This partner has proven to be pretty dang sturdy. Well, the first fight ain't that much of a problem. The 3 Koopa Trolls and 1 Magic Koopa would fall to a few air raids. And even if the Magic Koopa healing was a problem, I have airlift. This fight was honestly just a lot of nothing if you asked me. The anti-guy unit, however, would be a different story. These little guys pack a lot of punch with 50 HP and sometimes 10, other times 12 attack power. This does mean they hit really hard. However, we're not really in any real danger as long as our guards are good. With perfect guarding, as long as we're always using air raid, we will still end the fight with about, 1 or 2 life streams left, even with the worst possible RNG. Of course, airlift here just does not work, and I never bother trying to use Shell Shot, because why use a slightly stronger single targeting attack when being faced down by 3 boss level strength enemies? It just does not make any sense. All the same, kudos to Parakarry, he did well. This kid be flying high tonight, but let's see if he'll be sore after Junior Troopa. Shell Shot does still do decent damage, which is nice considering the fact that Junior Troopa has 60 HP and 2 defense points. And the fight goes as you'd expect for the first and second phase. The first when he's on his feet and has no wand, and the second phase when he's airborne and has a spike on his head. But once he reaches 20 HP, this is where potential stalemate pops up. Now, Junior Troopa did not do it in this battle, but there is a chance that he'll heal himself for 10 HP whenever he feels like it. And in theory, he can just keep healing himself, and as a result, Parakarry would never be able to win the fight. But if you're lucky, like Parakarry was in this fight, then he'll win regardless because, well, if Junior Troopa is attacking you, well, his health will stay low, and eventually you'll win. I'm only giving him half credit though because he doesn't have a definitive way to overpower Junior Troopa's healing. And if you have a problem with that, well hey, it's my video series, so eat it. And this leaves just one more boss to look over, and it's Bowser. Bowser in the hallway specifically is, let's just say, he's harder for other partners, but not so much Parakarry. In the first 2 turns before Bowser boosts his defense, he has only 1 point of defense, and Shell Shot does 6 damage per turn. But after turn 2 where Bowser activates Star Shield, Parakarry's Shell Shot will do only 3 damage per turn, which is still quite a bit. Yes, his attack power gets cut effectively in half, but Bowser has only 50 HP, and you have plenty of FP to keep using Shell Shot regardless. I won't say this fight's unlosable. After all, if Bowser uses the Star Wave and it hits your partner, you're out of commission for 3 whole turns, and that's a lot of time where you're just not doing anything. Meanwhile, if Bowser really wanted to, he can with ease knock out a single life shroom with only 1 fire breath, so you still have to pay attention. Still, as far as partners go, this is some of the most painless this fight's ever been, and a fitting end to one of our most stellar partners in the entire series. Now, there is Final Bowser at the top of Peach's castle we have to fight as well, but that fight will be impossible because you need Mario's help to actually make any progress after the second turn. Safe to say, I don't think Parakarry is going to make very much progress in that fight. But don't worry, when I do this challenge with Mario, we'll see Final Bowser actually happen. So, Parakarry, my man, how did you do? So, if my math is correct, Parakarry's grand total in score is 28 points. That is actually a very good score. And if you want to factor in the 5 perfect chapters he managed to get too, it's actually a pseudo S rank, which is, yeah, fantastic. it's going to be extremely hard to beat this score, and on the leaderboards, he is way above Bo in battle. That being said, when we return to Paper Mario 64, we'll be doing this challenge with Watt. Thank you Zezmog and Harold for playing along. Was my little tip a little too on the nose? Now believe it or not, this is only one of 9 videos on Paper Mario 64 using only partners. So if you want more Paper Mario, just click here, put your feet up, and enjoy. And now, try to predict next week's contestant. Here's your hint. Thanks for watching, see you later.